unknown, the bizarre, and the utterly unbelievable. Today we dive into the weirdest historical events you've never imagined. Imagine a world where the ordinary is extraneous and the extraordinary is commonplace. A world where history as you know it is turned upside down. These events, these oddities of our past, will challenge your perception of history and the world we live in. Ready to have your minds blown? Let's dive into the annals of weird history. Picture this. A city where people danced until they dropped. Literally. Welcome to the bizarre tale of the dancing plague of 1518. In the heart of Strasbourg, France, a peculiar fever gripped the city. But it wasn't a fever you could cure with herbs or rest. No, this was a dancing fever. In July of that year, a woman named Frau Troffea stepped into the street and began to dance. Nothing unusual, you might think. But Frau Troffea didn't stop. She danced through the heat of the day and the cool of the night. She danced until her shoes were filled with blood, and even then she danced on. But the peculiar part, she wasn't alone. Within a week, 34 others had joined her, their bodies swaying and gyrating in the streets. And by the end of the month, the number had swelled to around 400. Theories about why this happened range from religious fervor to ergot poisoning, a hallucinogenic mold that grows on damp rye. Some suggest it was a stress-induced mass hysteria, a response to the hardships faced by the local populace. But here's where it gets really strange. The authorities' solution to this dancing mania? More dancing. They believed the affected would only recover if they danced the fever out of their systems. A stage was built, professional dancers and musicians were hired to keep the beat going. But this plan backfired. The spectacle only encouraged more people to join in, and the death toll began to rise. Exhaustion, heart attacks, strokes, many were the ways the dancing plague claimed its victims. It was only when the dancers were whisked away to a mountaintop shrine to pray for absolution that the plague finally began to wane. So the next time you feel the urge to dance, remember, it could be a lot worse. From dancing humans to rampaging birds, history never ceases to surprise. Let's take a flight to the land down under Australia in the year 1932. During this time, Australia was facing an unexpected enemy, an enemy so powerful and numerous they had to call in the military. You might be thinking, an invasion, a rebellion. No, my friends, they were dealing with a rather different kind of foe. Emus. Yes, you heard that right. Emus. An explosion in emu population combined with a severe drought led to these flightless birds invading farmlands in search of food and water. The emus, numbering in the thousands, began wreaking havoc on the crops, causing significant damage and distress among the farmers. Desperate for a solution, the farmers did what anyone in their shoes would do. They asked for military intervention. The Australian government, under the impression that this would be a simple operation, gave the green light, and thus began the Great Emu War. The military, armed with machine guns and a sense of duty, ventured into the fields to combat the feathery menace. But here's where things take a turn for the hilarious. The emus proved to be a formidable adversary. Their speed and erratic movement patterns made them difficult targets, and their sheer numbers were overwhelming. Despite the military's best efforts, the emus continued their march, undeterred and undefeated. This strange conflict persisted for several weeks, with the military suffering more losses than victories. Eventually, the government had to wave the white flag, and the emus emerged victorious. This event has since become a humorous footnote in Australian history, a testament to the unpredictability of nature and the resilience of these seemingly harmless birds. Who would have thought that a bunch of flightless birds could bring a nation's military to its knees? Imagine believing you're the brother of Jesus and starting a massive rebellion. Sounds absurd, right? But brace yourself, because this is the story of a man who did exactly that. Welcome to the tale of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. In the mid-19th century, a man named Hong Xiuquan failed his civil service examinations, an event which led him into a deep depression. During this period, he had a series of visions. In these visions, he was told that he was the younger brother of Jesus Christ, and his mission was to rid China of demons and establish the heavenly kingdom of great peace. Yes, you heard that right. The brother of Jesus Christ in China on a mission to overthrow demons. Hong Xiuquan gathered followers, many of whom were peasants and workers dissatisfied with the ruling Qing dynasty. This group, known as the Taiping Rebellion, rose up against the Qing dynasty, aiming to establish a utopian society based on equality, land redistribution, and the Ten Commandments. The rebellion lasted for 14 long years, from 1850 to 1864. It was one of the deadliest conflicts in history, with estimates suggesting that somewhere between 20 million and 30 million people lost their lives. The Taiping Rebellion had a profound impact on China's history. It weakened the Qing dynasty, setting the stage for its eventual downfall. It also led to significant social and political changes. The idea of a peasant-led rebellion challenging the ruling class was a concept that would echo in future uprisings, notably the Chinese Communist Revolution in the 20th century. But let's not forget the man who started it all, Hong Xiuquan. His audacious claims and his ability to rally millions behind him are testament to the power of belief, no matter how outlandish it may seem. A heavenly kingdom on earth brought to you by the supposed brother of Jesus. Now that's a plot twist. Ever heard of a sweet, sticky disaster? You're about to. Picture this: Boston, 1919. The city is bustling, alive with the post-war hum of industry. But in the North End, something ominous looms, a massive storage tank filled to the brim with molasses. Yes, you heard it right, molasses, the sweet syrupy stuff you'd slather on your pancakes on a lazy Sunday morning. Now imagine that tank, 50 feet tall and 90 feet in diameter, bursting open. It's not a trickle, not a spill, but a tidal wave of molasses surging through the city streets at an estimated 35 miles per hour. Buildings are swept off their foundations, people and animals are caught in the sticky deluge. It's chaos, it's destruction, and it's oddly sweet-smelling. When the flood finally subsides, the city is left in a state of shock. 21 people have lost their lives and over 150 are injured. The cleanup is a monumental task, taking weeks to complete. Boston's streets, buildings, and even its inhabitants are stained a dark brown, a grim reminder of the disaster. In the aftermath, the event prompts a change in legislation. It leads to stricter regulations on industrial safety, making it a turning point in the history of labor laws in the United States. The tragedy of the Great Molasses Flood serves as a reminder of the potential dangers of industrial progress when safety precautions are overlooked. So the next time you're enjoying a stack of pancakes drizzled with molasses, spare a thought for the people of Boston in 1919 who experienced a flood of the sweet stuff in a way none of us could ever imagine. A sweet disaster indeed. History can be as strange as it is sticky. And there you have it, folks. History isn't always about wars and politics. Sometimes it's a confluence of the bizarre, the inexplicable, and the downright peculiar. Our journey today has taken us through dancing plagues, emu wars, heavenly kingdoms, and even a molasses flood. Each event a testament to the unpredictability of life and the diverse tapestry of our shared past. The dancing plague of 1518, a spontaneous outbreak of dance that gripped an entire town, was not just an odd event, but a stark reminder of how our minds can influence our bodies in the most peculiar ways. The Great Emu War, on the other hand, showcased how even the most seemingly harmless creatures can pose an unexpected challenge, especially when they come in large numbers. The Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, a religious political movement that shook the foundations of China, proved that history is not just shaped by kings and queens, but also by ordinary people with extraordinary visions. And who could forget the Great Molasses Flood, a tragic incident that underscores the fact that danger can come from the most unlikely sources. I encourage you to delve deeper into these events. You'll find that the more you learn, the more you'll realize that history is anything but mundane. It's a whirlwind of strange, wonderful, and sometimes tragic events that have shaped our world in ways we could never imagine. Remember, history is not just written by victors, but also by dancers, birds, self-proclaimed prophets, and even molasses. Until next time, keep exploring the weird side of history